Hi, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Carolyn Talks, the podcast / YouTube channel where I, your host, Carolyn Hines, speak to film creators about their work, their industry, and their experiences. And today I am joined by filmmaker Valerio Zanoli to talk about his new film, Not to Forget, which is a very heartwarming and I think a very kind of life-affirming film. And it talks about about Alzheimer's and how it can affect patients and how it can affect the people in the lives of patients and the elderly. And it talks about a young caretaker and what being a young caretaker means in today's society. But before we get into Not to Forget, I'm just going to ask Valerio to say a bit about himself and what got him into filmmaking. So Valerio.
Well, thank you for having me. Well, I started, I went to school. I went to USC to film school. I had a passion for filmmaking since I was a child, and I guess I fulfilled my dream. I was able to graduate, and I started to work in the industry, and I get to do what I really like. So, making movies.
And was there any particular film that inspired you to be a filmmaker? Because I know for some filmmakers, they say they watched like a particular film in their childhood, or maybe from when they were a teen, that made them say, I want to be a filmmaker. This is what I want to do. So was there anyone in particular for you?
I don't know. I mean, my favorite movie growing up was Rocky, but there were so many other good movies that I got to watch and enjoy. So I don't really know when it happened. I guess it was a progressive kind of thing. And, I made a big decision. I wanted to leave Italy. I came from Europe. I moved to LA just to pursue a career in filmmaking, just to learn. And so I was really committed. It was really something I wanted to do.
Right. And why move from Italy to LA? Because like Italy, it does like have I think a pretty well established film industry. So why the change from Italy to LA?
I wouldn't call it an industry. I believe that in Europe they are artistic. They pursue movie as a form of art, which is great. But if you want to talk about industry, you really need to be in LA, where it is a movie industry. And it's just different. Making a movie in Italian really limits the possibility of that movie. You can make the sweetest movie ever, but how many people really watched Life is Beautiful or Cinema Paradiso? Well, in the US, they don't dub movies, which really eliminates a lot of audience, a big chunk of audience, because people don't like to read subtitles. That's the reality of it. I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking about the majority of people out there. So if you really want your movie to be seen by everybody, to be, I've always wanted to make movies to make a difference. I wanted a social commitment in my movies, so I kind of wanted to use them as a tool to raise awareness about important stuff. So I am a big fan of mixing the movie industry and the artistic side of it. So why can't you make money while at the same time you can also make a little difference? And that's what I've been trying to do, which is not typical in LA or anywhere. I guess I mix my European side with the American side. So.
Yeah, you found your happy balance. And you're talking about using your films and your art to be both entertainment, but also to have a message and to have and to serve a purpose with regards to the audiences, but for everyone in general. And for this film in particular, as I mentioned at the beginning, it speaks about Alzheimer's and how that impacts patients and the people around them. So what was it that made you choose to make Alzheimer's the central focus for this particular story?
Yes. I was between projects, and I was introduced to a big clinic that focuses on Alzheimer's, Parkinson, and I absolutely didn't know anything about it. So they bring me in, they want to make like little short videos for YouTube, and I just told them, no, nobody's going to watch them, and they're not going to have an impact. You have me here, let me create a story, let me put the whole thing together. And that way we can reach people, and it's kind of sugarcoating it somehow, or it's kind of tricking the audience. Like, you are going to watch the movie for a variety of reasons, which could be because there are 5 Oscar winners in the cast, because it is shot beautifully, because the young protagonist is good looking, because of any reason, you end up watching it, and then now I have you. Now I can teach you. I can leave something with you. So what I would hate is for people to walk away from the movie at the end and be like, okay, that was fun. And then they go back to their normal life, unchanged, and without remembering the movie. Something, I really want to push some chords, and I want to leave something with you. I have people, after 8, 9 years from a movie that I made about leukemia, children with cancer, and blah, 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 on Christmas, they message me on Facebook. They find me and they say, thank you. Or I made a movie about bullying, and the girl in the UK, she texts me telling me the whole life story. She went to college. She didn't want to because she was being bullied in high school, but she pursued a career. She went to college anyway, and she felt inspired because her idol was the singer who was in the movie. She was the main star.
That's the one with Anastasia, right?
Correct.
I remember. Yeah, I remember Anastasia was big when I left secondary school. Her, like one of her songs was like super big when I left secondary school. That was a good day. That was a good time.
Yes. So it's refreshing. Sometimes I receive messages like that, or even for this movie, people reach out to me and I'm a caregiver. My mom, my grandma, she had Alzheimer, and thank you. We just say thank you. And it's not like we become friends, but it's nice. It's a nice feeling knowing that you have an impact, and even just changing one person at a time, you can really make a difference. And that's what I believe, and I keep going this way.
And for when you started working on the film, like what was your research process like? Like who did you speak to? What organizations did you connect with? Because there's many conditions that affect like cognition and like that cause dementia. Like you mentioned, Parkinson's is one that affects cognition as well as physical abilities, and then there's Alzheimer's. There's other conditions, like I have MS. So MS is one of my symptoms is I have cognitive impairment, which means that because it's a progressive disease, that as it will get progressively worse. So like that is something that I do worry about, like how it will affect like me long term. So there's many conditions that do affect that cause these similar symptoms. So what was your research like, and like who did you speak to like help you like really lock in on specifically on Alzheimer's?
Well, the same clinic that asked me to do the short video about Alzheimer also opened up the doors to their library. And I did research with the librarian, and they introduced me and took me to the second floor. I got to meet the medical director. I got to meet people who are experts. And once I had the first draft of the screenplay, I even had Alzheimer patients at the beginning of the progress, and their caregivers read the screenplay. And I changed it. I listened to them. I guess there is one thing I should mention. In that very first meeting, when I offered to make a movie about Alzheimer's, I asked the clinic, the representatives, you guys tell me what I should talk about, because I'm not an expert about Alzheimer's. I will learn, and you will teach me, but what is the main point? What do you really want to push? And without hesitation, they told me, talk about the caregivers. And I'm like, what do you mean? Who are the caregivers? And then they started to talk about the unsung heroes, like these people, they just drop their life. And I say they, but it's really us, it's all of us. There are so many, the loved one, the wife, the husband, the mother, they become sick. And especially in the US, where, everything costs money, especially in the health related world, people can't afford to actually pay somebody to supervise mom or the wife for 24/7. So they get to do it. I mean, there is this moral responsibility where she is my spouse, she is sick, I have to take care of her. And I drop my job, I drop my friendships, my hobbies, everything and I devote the rest of my life to the loved one. And I get it. I'm also told by the clinic it's not really healthy because you need to continue to exist. If you do something like that, you cannot really be supportive for the loved one. But it's such but I also understand, I would do the same. I would drop everything. Yeah. So I understand where people come from. And it is really pure love. You sacrifice yourself. They told me in the very first meeting, 60% of the times, the caregiver passes away before the patient. And I go, what are you talking about? Because they just give up on everything. They don't feed themselves right. They don't sleep. They change their life out of love. And then again, I asked, okay, what kind of caregiver, what specifically? And they told me, even though Alzheimer, Parkinson, very form of dementia. Dementia is the big umbrella, and it really affects elderly people. You could become a patient, you could start being affected by Alzheimer when you're in your 40s, especially if you're a woman, I was told. But it really affects elderly people, especially. So do something revolutionary. Talk about a young caregiver, because we need to talk to the young audience and make them aware, because it affects everybody, not just the patient or the spouse or the mother. It's in every family. It's literally everywhere. It's called, Alzheimer has been called the plague of the 21st century. I looked at the numbers, I don't remember them now, but by 2050, it's outrageous. The numbers are just escalating. It's spinning, and our society is growing older as a whole, and the sense of community is missing sometimes. I also made a documentary about homeless people. I shot it 2 months ago in Las Vegas. It's really about taking care of each other. And in the small town in Italy, I mean, I can tell you that the fable about the small town in Italy, it's not really a fable, but if somebody was in need, the whole community, the whole town would come together and would help. I don't know my neighbor. Now I don't know my neighbor. And that's an issue. I would love to know the neighbor. I would love, but it's weird if you just walk up to people and say, how are you? The first time in the US, I was at the grocery store, I tell you the story. And the cashier was like, hey, how you doing? I didn't know any better. I told her how I was doing. She was all freaked out because you asked me and I'm replying. I didn't know it was just a way to say, hey, hi. But that says a lot. And truth be told, yes, there is a huge Alzheimer element in the film, but the true protagonist is Chris. And the whole movie is really about Chris finding a family or rediscovering the value of family, which is a more universal message and theme, if you allow me to say. He has to deal with loss, the loss of his mother. It's interesting how grandma forgot everything except for family, the value of family, and Chris remembers, he can count cards, he remembers everything really well, but he forgot family. So they start opposite, and grandma is really the enabler. She becomes the tool that allows Chris to complete his arc. And I think it's a sweet film that talks to everybody. So different people will get different things out of it.
No, it's true. Like you talked about the emotions. So like the lead, so like Melody, who is Chris's grandmother, she's played by Karen Grassle. So as you said, what she remembers the most is her emotions and the love that she had for the people in her life. She can't name them. She's not exactly sure of her connections to them, but she remembers the emotional connections that she has to these people. And it's kind of like, I think, profound that when you have a disease that can rob you of your memory, the one thing it can't take from you is your emotions. You know, it can't take from you like how deep someone has impacted your life. You know, like if this person meant so much to you and like they made you feel like this love for them, like that's what you remember most. And even if it's an emotion like anger, that's still, I still think a good thing, because it still shows that not only that this person had an impact on you, but that they still have like, they still have this connection to who they are fundamentally as people, like who we are as human beings. Like our emotions, I think, are a driving force for us as beings, because like our emotions help us to make decisions. Our emotions are what allows us to make human connections. Our emotions are what leads us to like a career path with like finding becoming a filmmaker. If you want to become a writer or a designer, you know, like the emotional connection you have to this dream is what makes you who you are. So I love that the film really centers on the emotions of the characters and like what and who they are, just like as fundamentally.
Yes, I couldn't have said it better. I mean, you got it. You got the film. That's what it is all about. Experiences, emotions is really all we have. We are going to leave all the belongings behind, and it's what defines us as human beings. It's what we feel. They're not animals. Animals have feelings too, but really, it's about they stay with you. There is a line, I wrote a line that I gave to Tatum O'Neill. She plays the doctor, and it's and Chris was asking her, "What's the point?" But you never really forget love. It's true. It stays with you. It defines who you are.
Sorry. And so like now speaking about the characters, like how did you go about forming your cast? So you have Karen, who played Melody, and you have Kevin Hardesty, who plays Joe, who we later find out is her son. And Chris is played by Tatum.
Alert.
Okay. And then you mentioned Tatum O'Neill, and you have like Louis Gossett Jr., who to me is like a Black film legend. Like how did you go about forming your cast? And like first, how did you come up with the idea for like who you wanted to play specific parts, and then connecting with them and getting them to play these roles?
When I was writing the screenplay, I had to imagine the doctor, Pastor John, Melody, and I had some names, some people, some actors in mind. I was the one who picked up the phone at the beginning, and I reached out to them. Tatum O'Neill was the first one I reached out to, and she immediately said yes. And then I called one by one everybody else. At the very end, the last 3 weeks, I was helped by a casting agency as well to fill the last few characters. But I really pursued my dream cast, and I was persistent. Some people, George Chakiris, it's so sweet. Everybody was great in the movie, but I think I called him the first day, and he was, I don't know, I haven't been acting for like 30 plus years, but then at the end, I convinced him to be in the film. And he trusted me. It's like, what are you taking me to Kentucky? Why Kentucky? And he shows up. I went to pick him up at the airport, and everybody, I didn't see, they're all legends. They're great actors. They made the history of Hollywood, but they were so human when we showed up on set because they didn't get paid as much as they're used to. So they didn't do it for the money. They do it because they put their heart into it. They understood, and I guess I was good at this. I explained to them why this movie is important, not just to me, but really to everybody. And they understood the importance of it, and they committed. And they didn't play divas or stars or anything. Karen Grassle, she came to me constantly, and it's a good thing. Other people are like, wow, she's always there, not to bother you. I'm like, she's not bothering me. I love it. She's coming with constructive feedback. Mm-hmm. She has notes about the script, and the first idea was panicking. Oh no, now the schedule, are we gonna write the scene? And I go, don't worry, it's fine. We'll work around it. And she had some very good notes. She had a personal connection to Alzheimer. I believe a friend of her had Alzheimer and passed because of Alzheimer eventually. So she really wanted to do the film for her and dedicate it to her. But I really think that every family has a connection to this terrible disease. So it's really refreshing that Cloris, Leechman, Olympia, Dukakis, they couldn't even walk. They showed up in wheelchairs, but they still did it. And they have my extreme respect, the most respect. It's I found a family. I found a little community on that set, and I'm really proud of all of them.
Mm. And what was the filming like in Kentucky? Because like one of the themes of the film is I think growth, and is talking in particular about the personal growth of Chris, and then you use the theme of corn, because for Melody, she owns a corn farm, and like when at the beginning, like it's not operating because like she can't run in, and then like she doesn't, and like Joe is too busy taking care of her. And like I just said, like the thing for caretakers, like they have to devote all of their time, or they do devote all of their time to looking after their family, and they can't like they can't develop anything else. They don't, for some, as you said, that you like actually no, let me hop on that because something just occurred to me. So you talked about how for a lot of caregivers, 60% of them die before the person who's ill. And then so it just made me think of Joe, and like something happens to him, and like that literally just occurred to me, like you could say like possibly like he is sick and he doesn't look after himself because he's dedicating all of his time and his effort and his health into looking after Melody. So like he's neglecting his own health, and it almost became fatal. So just talk a bit about that, actually.
About which part specifically?
About Joe, about Joe's the subplot with Joe and him being ill, because like it's like he seems fine at the beginning, but then later on you realize that he isn't fine, like there is something he himself is going through his own illness, but he doesn't want to reveal that to anyone because he wants all the focus to be on Melody.
Yes, is devoured by sense of guilt. Mm-hmm. Whatever happened in the past and the person he used to be is still haunting him. So it's interesting. It's like an additional character that it gives us a slice of the audience can relate to him because of who he is, because a lot of people have guilt, and they have a problem with forgiving. He needs to forgive himself the same way Chris has to forgive himself. So, and I found that to be one of the hardest things ever, and a common theme among people, not just the audience, like everybody. So forgiving is really key, and Joe and Chris has to forgive. And I guess at the end of the film, they both do. And as a result, they get to have a future, they get to enjoy life. They sacrifice themselves, not just for Melody, the elderly, sick woman in need, but really they sacrifice themselves because they can't just let go, they can't move on. It's about trauma. And yeah, that opens up a whole other different conversation. But when I say there are different elements in the movie, that's what I'm talking about: trauma, loss, the redemption. It's really about the arc. I try to give every character an arc, so that they have to go through. They don't have nemesis, like physical nemesis, but they have to fight themselves. They need to go deeper into their soul and accept, and then they can move on. And that's what Chris does throughout the story. He has to go and dig deep and deeper into the chest, to the treasure chest. And as he does that progressively, when he gets to the very bottom of the problem, he gets deep into himself, and that's one of the last scenes of the movie where he's able to just let go. He cries, and then one person told me, "Oh, it just changed out of nowhere." Well, it's not true.
No,
I completely disagree. I mean, he had it in him from the very beginning, only that he decided that he wasn't ready. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I learned, even with the most recent homeless documentary I did, you need to meet people where they are. Not everybody is the same, and you just need to be patient, and it will come. Just open the door, you give them, you point them in the right direction, and then they do their own decisions at the end. Chris has the key at the very end, and he decides to do something that he would have done at the beginning of the movie, because now he's a changed person. He found himself. I don't think that he changed as much as he found himself.
Right.
The person that he was, the person that he has always been deep inside of him, but he just needed to get in touch with that part of himself again.
Yeah, he grew. He had to grow. He had an arc, like, like he matured. And it, like, for some people that could take months or years, but for him, like, as you said, he like, the situation happened where he realized that the path he was going on wasn't the right path, and that he had to open up himself to other people. And I was saying before, like, that's the whole thing. It's about growth, it's about learning to grow as a person and realizing that there are opportunities, but not the type of opportunities you're looking for. He was looking for one type of opportunity, and he found another one that allowed him to grow as a person. So yeah, no, he had a growth, he had arc. So the film, one of the things that at the beginning of the film, we talked about how you use your filmmaking to like, as we said, talk about social issues and things affecting people. And one of the ways you do that is you have an organization called Let's Make a Difference, where that's directly connected to your film. So talk a bit about that organization and how that works in connection with your films.
It's not really an organization. It's just an umbrella project. So okay. all the films that I made, that I plan to make, fall under that. It's more of a mission. It's a motto. I really want to inspire people to make a difference. And that's what these movies are trying to do. And each film has a different topic. So there is Hopeful Notes with cancer, children, leukemia. All You Can Dream with bullying and eating disorders. Then you have, not to forget, with Alzheimer, and the recently filmed documentary about homelessness. Each film helps a different organization raise awareness and funds, because we donate part of the profits to these big charities, nationwide charities, because we believe that they can truly make a difference. I mean, I wouldn't be able to go out there and to help an Alzheimer patient. I don't even want to, because I wouldn't know where to start. It's not my job. But I can talk about it so people find out about the issue, and they can reach out to the charity, make a donation, donate 1 hour, 1 hour a month, 1 hour a week. It takes so little, and everything is welcome and can have an impact. Sometimes people think, and I know that for a fact because I was the same, well, it's just me. I can't, what's the point? I'm never going to change anything. But it's not true, because there are a lot of Valerios out there. I'm part of the Lions Club, so every week we actually meet, and it's inspiring to be surrounded by people who do want to volunteer and want to have an impact. I mean, I'm not probably supposed to, but why not? I go serve for the rescue mission. I go clean eyeglasses that are sent to a jail in San Francisco. They divide them, and then they ship them to third world countries so people can get to see. It's fun. We get together, we have a mission, and we talk with each other. It's good company, because I'm with people who have my same values. And sometimes I hear, I don't have time. I find time to do it, and why not? I think everybody should do it. And even just watching this film can have an impact, because some of the money will go to charity, and you never know. If I can move people somehow, you never know what's going to happen. Maybe in 15, 20 years, we're going to get somebody else to make films about Alzheimer or about important causes. They get inspired by something like this. You never know.
Yeah, I think, like, I love that, the fact you connect, as you have each specific topic, that you do connect them to the different charities. And that's something I think Hollywood really does need to work on and do better. Like, we know there are like fundraising initiatives, but I think, like, when it comes to like films in particular, like, the films should like help, promote and to promote causes, and be a way for people to like directly connect to causes and to like organizations and to people who need help. Because it's all fine well and good to make a film about a social issue, but then if you don't really say this is how you can actually help with this situation. It's kind of like, okay, you did it, but like, you're not really telling us how to help. So like, I do like that you do that. And I think more filmmakers and more studios can do that and like say, this is how you can actually help. And this is how we're going to help you do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot is being done recently by the studios when they even the whole casting equality, they're giving more space to people of different ethnicities, people of with disabilities. It's happening. Women. Now the superhero is a woman. I mean, it's a huge step if you look at the whole thing historically. I mean, I don't need to tell you, you already know. It wasn't like this. So things are changing, but there is so much more that can be done. And I think it's just a matter of time because we're ready. And, you know, it is happening as we speak. So I just keep doing what I do. And I just hope that more people follow, and but together we can get together and have a true impact. Because at the end of the day, it's in our hands. If we don't do it, who else is going to do it?
That's true. Thank you so much for talking with me, Valerio. I really did like the film, and it is a very sweet, I think an important film, and it's available on Amazon Prime. So it's available for like people, like different for general audiences to see, which especially now in these COVID times, as we say, is important, like, you know, accessibility. So I like that it's on an accessible platform. And so so can you just talk a bit about actually getting the film on Amazon? Because that's something I'd like to know a bit about, like for you as a filmmaker, like what are the steps to getting a film platform on a service like Amazon?
Right. I wouldn't know. The film was seen by a major distribution company, Vertical Entertainment. So they love the movie. It is shot beautifully. It has a great story. It's inspiring. So they reached out and they literally asked me, "Hey, can we buy the movie?" And for the US, the UK, some other territories. And I just sold the movie to them. I just asked them, please put the movie out there and try. It really goes beyond the money. It's about reaching people and pushing these messages. And so that's what they did. They gave the movie a theatrical release in November. And after that, they did all the deals with all the major streaming platforms. So it's Vudu, Amazon, Redbox. It's pretty much everywhere. And that's their job. That's what they're good at. So I wouldn't know how to reach Amazon. I let them do it. But they did a wonderful job.
Yeah, they did. I think it's great that it's on multiple platforms. So congratulations to you and the cast and the crew and everyone for getting your film, for making the film first thing first, and getting the film out there for everyone to see. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me about Not to Forget today. I really appreciate you giving the time to me. Is there anything you would like to say before we wrap up?
No, but thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
And there's another episode of Carolyn Talks, and today was German filmmaker and writer Valerio Zanoli to talk about his latest film, Not to Forget, which has won various awards for the film as well as for Valerio himself and for the work he's been doing for advocacy. You can find the film streaming on Apple TV Plus as well as on other platforms online. I will be including information about that as well. Thank you so much to my listeners, new and veteran, for spending the time with me today and listening to Valerio and I talking about the film, his cast, and his work. I appreciate Valerio for joining me to talk about it, and it was a great discussion. I hope everyone enjoyed it. You can find more episodes of Carolyn Talks in podcast format on Acast streaming platform, as well as Google podcast sites and other podcast streaming platform, as well as on butwhythepodcast.com. You can find my other podcasts, So Here's What Happened, which I co-host with my friend Lanisha Campbell, where we talk about all things nerdy and entertainment from a Black female perspective, on butwhythepodcast.com as well as on Acast streaming platforms. You can find my other platforms, Beyond the Romance, my Asian drama podcast, as on butwhythepodcast.com as well as on Acast. You can find the video version of that on my YouTube channel, Carolyn Hines, HINDS, as well as the interviews that I do with the African American Film Critics Association, virtual roundtables, which we've been doing for the past couple of years, and it's been a great experience as always. That I You'll find the links to my segments on my YouTube channel as well as on the Africa website for the whole roundtables and other interviews that I've been doing for Carolyn Talks there as well. And you can find my writing on my authoring page, which is linked on my social media on Twitter and Instagram, which my handles are at CarrieCNH12. That's CRIECNH12. And until the next episode of Carolyn Talks, everyone, stay safe.